Is Sabretooth an urban legend? A G.I. Joe operative that never was? Or is he just so good at stealth operations that he's been here all along, completing his missions completely undetected? Let's talk about him. Sabretooth, aka Wreckage, has had an interesting path through G.I. Joe. His story really kicked into gear in the late 1980s. This was a time when G.I. Joe was between Sunbow and Deke animated series, and enjoying the peaks of success and popularity. Time when the Hasbro team was fully intent on building out its sub-teams a great deal, and one of those was Tiger Force. The G.I. Joe Tiger Force patterns and name are inspired by NATO Tiger Meets. The Tiger Meets were founded by the United States Air Force and Europe's 79th Tactical Fighter Squadron, and the annual meets now host 24 full members, all with a tiger as part of their squadron crest. The livery on these airframes are wild, like a gumball rally in the air, with many decked out in stripes and other patterns meant to catch the eye and not hide from it. Unfortunately, the war crimes committed by the real-life Tiger Force LRP unit out of the 101st Airborne Division after Colonel Hackworth left kind of mar the legacy of a Tiger Force ground force in G.I. Joe, as fictional as it is, but you can trace the roots of the sub-team to those two elements. Tiger Force featured a slew of Joes that were repainted from previous versions. Duke, Lifeline, Dusty, Roadblock, Flint, Bazooka, and Tripwire were part of the team. Sky Striker flew the Tiger Rat, a repainted Rattler. Frostbite drove the Tiger Cat, a repainted Snowcat. Rakondo flew the Tigerfly, which was a repainted Dragonfly. Of note, Wild Bill was supposed to be the pilot of the Tigerfly, but was replaced with Rakondo, though some promo images are out that still clearly have Wild Bill at the stick. There were also a couple of international exclusives to the G.I. Joe line. Airtight and Shipwreck had Tiger Force figures in Brazil, along with Felino, who would later drive the Tiger Shark, and an interesting Outback in 1993. Flint had another version exclusive to China, and then the India Fun School version of Lifeline was out there too. Hit and Run, Outback, Sneak Peek, Psych Out, Blizzard, and Tunnel Rat had UK exclusives as well. Later members included Agent Jinx, Dial Tone, Big Brawler, Mutt, Beachhead, Hardtop, Crosshair, Alpine, and even a version of Hawk that was really Zartan in disguise. Wild Bill became Rakondo. Ripcord was meant to be part of Tiger Force 2. A third, mysterious figure was also seen in artwork. A 1984 Tigerfly repaint named Sabretooth. There's speculation about why these characters were put on hold and not put into full production. One reason is possibly because the mold was licensed for use outside the United States. And perhaps it was something akin to Marvel having a Ghost Rider, meant to mitigate confusion and perhaps avoid trademark violation, which might also explain the name change when he showed up again years later. So who is he? He was born in Los Angeles, California as Dillon Moreno, a notable name due to Don Moreno, though no clear connection between the two exists. When he was old enough, Dillon joined the United States Army, graduated basic and advanced individual training where he became a demolitions expert. His file card lists his first MOS as demolitions, which likely means a 12 Bravo, a sapper, or combat engineer. He'd be working in conjunction with the EOD guys on the team on things like mobility, counter-mobility, and then other objectives like recon and survival. He trained on things like the SLAM and the BDK and the M303 SOF-DK, which is a Special Operations Force demolition kit. The BDK is the blasting demo kit. It's a nifty little kit that allows the operator to scale the size of the explosion based on needs. You handpack C4 and use things like explosively formed penetrators, EFPs, linear shape charges, multi-fragmenting EFPs, and others to match your explosive to the target and or objective. You can even use a camera mount with your RDX to shape and direct the charge the way you want and enhance standoff capability. The beauty is that most of it's just inert materials that you can stick right in your ruck, and if something is broken or lost, much of it is commercially available. Dillon also spent a lot of time at the J, what his file card refers to as the U.S. Army's Jungle Warfare Training Center. He became an instructor there, his second MOS, where he was a member of the OPFOR, Opposition Force, cadre. Now the 25th Infantry Division runs the JOTC, the Jungle Operations Training Course in Hawaii at the Lightning Academy on Wahiawa on Oahu, the only jungle training course currently being offered. The Marine Corps run the Jungle Warfare Training Center in Okinawa, Japan. The Army did have the Jungle Operations Training Center at Fort Sherman in Panama, but that closed at the end of the 1900s. That site was one of the Panama Canal coastal defense locations set up when the U.S. was prepping for war in Central America during the World Wars. It was this area that developed the Panama mount for coastal batteries. Before that, they had the 12-inch 305mm M1890 coastal defense mortar, which flung half-ton AP shells out 7 miles from shore. During World War II, it was the 158th Infantry Regiment of the 45th Infantry Division that really developed and honed jungle warfare tactics. They were called Bushmasters, named after vipers found in Central America. At the start of the war, they headed down to the Panama Canal Zone to help the 14th Infantry Regiment defend and prep for an Axis invasion before the 14th linked up with the 71st Infantry Infantry Division and headed to France to attack Germany's West Wall, their Siegfried Line that opposed the Allies' Maginot Line. They were disbanded in '67. Jungle warfare training is a critical mission given current geopolitical dynamics, coupled with the fact that the GWOT got our armed forces much more comfortable with the desert, not jungles. You get to learn what jungle means for the MET-TC mission framework, how comms work different in the woods, you get to learn land-based navigation when SatNav can't connect, survival, including how to catch and cook food, purify water, make fire, E&E, and more general, how to adapt formation movement in both offensive and defensive operations to a jungle environment once you get into squad-size elements toward the end of the course. Do you use a line or a wedge formation? Is traveling or bounding Overwatch better? How does movement to contact work if you can't see through the underbrush? How does reverse slope defense work in a forest? What else out here besides the op-4 is trying to kill me? Well, I'll answer that one. You get to see a sign when you get there that says 50% of everything in the jungle is trying to kill you. Except for that, those are rhetorical questions, but if you don't know, Moreno will take you to school. Shoot, move, communicate, and fight, win, survive. Yep, in this jungle, they got fun and games too. Per his file card, quote, his favorite trick was to sneak up behind a trainee and write "Bang, you're dead" on the back of his helmet without him knowing he was there. Once he booby-trapped a drink cooler with a live skunk and left it in the path of a thirsty trainee patrol. His methods may have been irregular, but they worked. His victims never forgot the lessons he taught them. Dillon knows how to defuse and disarm too, not just blowing stuff up. Again, per his file card, this is quite an asset in hostile territory where one is apt to find all sorts of dangerous stuff just lying around waiting to be stepped on or activated by a tripwire. He's even better at spotting these troublesome devices and avoiding them entirely, which is why the other members of the G.I. Joe Tiger Force team are always glad to have Wreckage along on any mission. One file card marks Sabretooth as a mercenary, and it says, quote, coming to us fresh from a stint with the October Guard, Sabretooth never officially joined the Joes, but his influence is unmistakable. Some claim that he hand-selected the original Tiger Force members, but declined to lead them, passing the responsibility to Conrad Duke Hauser. We can stow that one in an alternate continuity. Tiger Force Sabretooth Wreckage did have a couple of comic book appearances, believe it or not, fleeting as they were. This was not in Larry Hama's main A Real American Hero continuity, though. His first was in Tom Scioli's Transformers vs. G.I. Joe, issue 10, which came out around the time the clock flipped from 2014 to 2015. In this story, we see Wild Bill in a dragonfly when he pitched the chopper forward and diced up Wreckage's head with the rotor blades, at the same time that Red Spot, Recoil, Torpedo, and Cross Country were also taken out. Except that wasn't Wild Bill. A Transformer named Preceptor had brought the body of Wild Bill to the G.I. Joe team at the pit, the last bastion of humanity after Earth fell. It was in fact Zartan who proceeded to take a bullet to the face by Stalker's marksman rifle. He also appeared in Fun Publications' 8th issue of G.I. Joe vs. Cobra in the winter of 2015, including a cover appearance where his photo is being stabbed by Cobra Commander. In this story, Destro's Iron Grenadiers, led by Miles Mayhem, attacked Springfield Island with an air assault. This was an island owned by a real estate mogul named Montgomery Springfield III. His compound sat nestled in lush jungle topography inside a dormant volcano. A perfect mission for Tiger Force. Their mission was twofold: oust the Iron Grenadiers and show Mr. Springfield that the US was friendly, hoping to align and help control that strategic island located on some important shipping lanes. This team was Duke, Flint, Stalker, Bazooka, Airtight, Wild Bill, Big Brawler, Sky Striker, Frostbite, Alpine, Recondo, and Wreckage. Dialtone and Lifeline were to hang back and establish a rendezvous point. Wild Bill's Tigerhawk would drop a Tiger Sting on the island too for Alpha Team. Bravo Team was Wreckage, Big Brawler, and Recondo, led by Stalker. They were in another Tigerhawk with an underslung Tiger Shark that would be captained by Felino. One of the more unrealistic things in this story is casual conversation inside the helo without using a comms headset. Anyway, Wreckage said that, quote, my first resolution is always that I keep all my fingers. It would be hard to go around defusing bombs with just a couple thumbs. I mean, I could still do it. It would just escalate the difficulty level a bit. Inbound, Alpha Team took damage and had to return to the USS Flag for repairs. That left Bravo Team, who would get some air cover and CAS from Sky Striker and a single Tigerhawk. They quickly moved to contact and right into a kinetic DX with some Iron Grenadiers. Stalker had himself and Wreckage hold off the Grenadiers, keeping them busy while Recondo and Big Brawler broke off. At the main gate, Stalker held off more Grenadiers while Wreckage worked to defuse the C4 booby traps at the entrance. Recondo and his DMR were sidetracked, but that didn't dissuade Wreckage. He said it's been such a breeze lately he'd almost gotten bored. And instead of defusing using the booby trap, Wreckage detonated it, blasting a massive hole in the front gates of Springfield's compound. Wreckage, Stalker, and Big Brawler made it to the main house, where they went into CQB mode and swept the building room by room. They found Springfield tied up with some explosives next to him. All Wreckage had to do was unplug the firing pin from the detonator. Easy peasy. A QRF was inbound from the USS Flag, but Bravo team reported back a sitrep saying they could wave off support. The Iron Grenadiers had left, and they were all okay. He appeared again in another IDW Publishing continuity during 2016's Revolution event by Cullen Bunn and John Barber. This was a crossover story that involved G.I. Joe, Transformers, Action Man, and ROM Space Knight, among many others. The Decepticons had descended on Earth and ravaged it. When the Autobots arrived on a mission of mercy, the G.I. Joe team didn't realize they were a separate faction and proceeded to attack. Beach had even shot Optimus Prime in the face with an RPG. ROM showed up, though, and disintegrated General Colton, Red Zone, and High Tech, and as Scarlet cried out to destroy the metal killing machine, he then immolated Dillon Moreno with an intense blast of laser fire. Wreckage's second death. When ROM was later talking with Optimus Prime, we learned that he actually wasn't a bad guy. ROM was on Earth hunting diorites, and those humans he'd killed were in fact alien pod people. In 2003, Wreckage came in a Toys R Us exclusive set with Stalker, Jinx, Dialtone, and Big Brawler. Accompanying his mold, he came with 84 Fireflies loadout. Though he's called Wreckage at this time, he's clearly an homage to the original character. Hasbro's ability to use the Sabre-Tooth name had since passed, and so now he's called Wreckage. There was another character from the Dark Horse G.I. Joe Extreme era, also named Wreckage, but that is Eric Alexander, a completely different character. That one's half man, half machine, and 100% menace. In 2015, a second version of Wreckage was released in the Tiger Force vs. Iron Grenadiers JoeCon box set, though here he harkened back to his pre-pro days as Sabretooth, and is considered his first modern-era release that's based on the 1988 prototype. Also in 2024, Wreckage has made it to the G.I. Joe Classified line as the driver for the Tiger Force Tiger Paw ATV. We'll finish up his story with a quote on his 2003 file card. "If it goes off with a bang, I treat it with respect, even if it's a little firecracker. Anybody who doesn't is a fool, plain and simple." And with that, that's a wrap on this one, my friends. I'm Jesse, this is JLS Comics, and I'll see you soon.